Welcome back in to Scramble Drill's Dynasty Podcast. I am Ben. Across from me is Landon. Josh is not joining us tonight, so today
We should have a
Landon,
good
we're gonna
episode
be. We should, yeah. It'll be a great episode.
because
There
Josh
won't be
isn't
any-
here.
There won't be any horrifically bad takes that he tends to stake his claim on. Did you listen to the solo episode where he talked about running backs?
I have not listened to that one yet. I listened to y'all's from yesterday, but I haven't listened to that one yet. No.
Okay. He said
I
that
need to.
DJ Giddens wasn't very elusive in that episode, and I almost
Is
flipped
that
my
what
car.
he said? Is that what he said?
I almost flipped my truck when he did that. Made me so mad. Anyway, today, hopefully, we apologize for that. We're gonna try to be better this time. We're gonna be talking about running backs as well, but today we're doing a lot of an interesting exercise. I think is we're gonna go team by team through the NFL and rank the landing spots for these guys.
Yep.
Almost like it's a tier. We got S through F of tiers, and we'll put each team in each tier and kind of discuss the situation in each team as to why this would be a good landing spot, why it would be a bad landing spot, and just kind of get a feel for. We know who's good in the draft class process. We're just waiting on draft capital, so we know who's good, and obviously we'll talk about those guys some more. But we need to know what it actually looks like when they get into the NFL. What kind of landscape are they getting into?
Yeah, and this is more for definitely like if these teams draft somebody in the top 2 rounds, maybe you can include
Yes.
a third round
Yes.
in there if it's still one of the top guys. But this is for if one of these teams drafts a guy in the top 2 rounds, one of the elite guys in the class, one of the top 5, 6, 7 guys. How would we feel if an elite guy went to each landing spot? Because put quarterback aside, because evaluating quarterbacks is just totally different. It's very difficult to do. As far as the flex positions go, running back, receiver, tight end, landing spot means far and away the most for running backs. Tight end, it almost doesn't even matter. And wide receiver, if you're good, you're going to be good. You may it may take longer, but wide receiver landing spot doesn't matter as much. Running back, it's a huge deal. It's one of the biggest markers of what kind of success you're going to have is what does the backfield look like already? How much snap percentage are you going to get? What's the offensive line look like? Who's the coach? Like there's so much that encompasses it that it's good to exercise, man. Where are we hoping guys go and where are we really worried about? And if it's an F tier, S tier is like this dude has a chance to be a 3-down workhorse at some point in the first 2 years. That's S tier. F tier is like this is panic mode for the player that gets drafted and the starting running back for whatever team's already there. If we give an F tier, it's bad. It is worse than Charbonnet a few years ago. Yeah, it is worse than Charbonnet a few years ago when that caught us all off guard. So this will be a good exercise to go through, I think.
Yeah. First, before we get into it, 2 pieces of news. Nothing major has happened since the big Monday free agency and Sunday fiasco. But you still got the kind of guys trickling in. We're still waiting on 2 or 3 big signings, I think. Aaron Rodgers is still out there. What's going to happen with him? Still waiting on Russell Wilson. So we'll see what happens with those guys. But Evan Ingram was released by the Jaguars and is now signing a 2-year deal with the Broncos, which that's interesting. That's really interesting because he's a great pass catcher, and they do not have those right now.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Payton is one of those guys that likes some say in personnel. So anytime he goes and gets somebody, your ears should perk up because that means he's not just getting somebody that is talented. He's getting somebody that he thinks is talented and fits in his scheme. And we've seen his teams with the Saints. We've seen them have successful tight ends. It hasn't really came to Denver yet. But the Saints, I mean, Jimmy Graham for those years was really good. I mean, he's
Yeah, he
had
was
success
awesome.
with tight ends. Yeah, he's had success with tight ends. So I'm pretty excited about this. It's definitely not a nothing signing. Like a lot of these guys, they sign, you're like, yeah, it really doesn't mean anything. This means something.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen Evan Ingram. He wasn't what he used to be last year, I don't think, but also the Jacksonville offense was a travesty last year too. So we've seen Evan Ingram be a top 5 tight end. So I'm excited for the one place I might own Evan Ingram. So we'll see. And the other major one is they had kind of been hinting about it for a long time, but as soon as the new league year started, the Rams released Cooper Kupp. Obviously, they signed Devontae Adams, so his major role in the offense for the Rams had basically evaporated. So I would like to think Cooper Kupp still got some gas in the tank, and there are definitely some. We'll talk about this a little bit later in the episode too. We'll kind of end with some quarterbacks and wide receivers landing spots, but there are some teams that really need receiver, and a veteran like Cooper Kupp, surely he will help a significant amount. You would think, correct?
Yeah, I mean he's probably a guy at this point that is a better real life player than fantasy player. I mean there's falling out of favor with a team, and then there's what happened to Cooper Kupp last year, which is
unreal.
like week 11, week 12 hit, and it was like we'll see you. We don't. He's not even on the field. He was blocking. He might as well have been a tight end. He should have been wearing number 84 last year because they were done with him. And I kind of hate that it had to end with him being released. I mean, he's been a great player. Obviously, had one of, you could argue if you want to include postseason, the greatest wide receiver season ever, to win the Triple Crown and then cap it off with a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, he had that season not that long ago. He spent his whole career with the Rams, so you hate it ends this way. But, the writing was on the wall. This was going to happen, especially once they brought Devontae in. And he's going to go help a team somewhere. He's, he does a lot of the dirty work that coaches like, so he's going to help somebody.
Yeah, no, I'm hopeful. There's a few spots I'd like to see him land. The big glaring one to me would be the Patriots. You know how much he would help have a guy like him in the slot to help Drake May develop. That would be great.
It would be great.
I don't know where he's looking at as far as winning goes because he's in the twilight of his career. So I would like to play for a good team too. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely a situation to monitor moving forward here in the very near future. All right, so let's jump into the running back landing spots. We've got a website called Our Lads. It just has the most updated, most recent running back depth charts with who's signed, who's a free agent, all that kind of stuff. So we're just going to go team by team. They're all, clustered in divisions. So we're just going to start at the top where the website starts. The Buffalo Bills. Currently under contract, they've got James Cook, Ty Johnson, Ray Davis. Darrington Evans signed there. So if you want to consider that name too, I guess.
Yeah, this is obviously we would not be excited about this. Like if one of the elite guys went to Buffalo, your James Cook owners will be pissed. Your whoever the guy is that goes there, I mean, I would not be excited about. I would say it's probably like a C tier just because James Cook has not gotten extended and he's not under contract after this year. Now, if he gets a 3-year extension, then this goes to like probably D tier. This would not be a great landing spot. Yeah,
it's Buffalo. I kind of view in the same light as the Chiefs as far as running back landing spot goes because everybody's and maybe people have kind of come around now, but they see it and they're like, oh my gosh, that's an incredible offense. You've got Josh Allen or like Mahomes in it. Like Josh Allen, he's going to lead a high scoring offense. I'm like, no, Josh Allen he scores the touchdowns in that offense, and then a few select guys get to score after him. So, let's say like an Amari Hampton went there. He's incredibly talented, but playing with James Cook and having to worry about Josh Allen, because Josh Allen's going to have games where he just gets 3 rushing touchdowns at the goal line. So, Amari Hampton could have a great real life game and have 100 yards, and you get 10 fantasy points.
Yeah, this would not be a great landing spot. Like I said, it's a C. I mean, if they were not to extend James Cook, which I think they probably do, but if they didn't, it's not bad next year. Next year, you're looking at it like, wow, I could lead this backfield,
Yeah.
But I would say that's a C. And if
Which I guess
if they extend James Cook, it's a D.
If they did take one, though, you have to assume they're not going to extend James Cook. So there's that factor into it, too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
either way,
hopefully no one goes there.
Yeah, hopefully no one goes there. Either way, we don't love this landing spot for a rookie running back. So, yeah. Miami Dolphins. Obviously, Devon Achane is there. Not really much after that. You got Jalen Wright, who I think they took in the 3rd round last year, and Jeff Wilson, who is a free agent. So they actually need a running back because they only have 2 signed on the roster.
Yeah. So the thing about this one is Achane's on the 2nd year of his deal, or he's going into the 3rd, I guess, and Jalen's going into the 2nd. So they got young, like they each have team control. I would say this is also a C. Like, we're super excited about Devon Achane. Obviously, we love him. Even if they draft someone, Devon Achane's going to be on the field a ton of snaps. Like, Devon Achane showed last year he can be on the field with another running back and play in the slot, or they'll get him going in motion or whatever. I wouldn't be super excited about this landing spot, though, for a top 2 round pick. I don't think they're going to draft one. Either one of these teams. I don't think they will draft one in the first 2 rounds. I would say, but it's not like the guy would never see the field. I mean, Raheem Mostert got a lot of run last year. Maybe he could take that role. I would say C, maybe on the verge of C+, just because of the Raheem Mostert role that's vacant, but I don't see them doing it.
Top of C tier.
Yeah, maybe top of C tier. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they drafted a running back, I would think like James Cook, if they draft a running back in the 2nd round, there goes 50% of his snaps. Devon Achane, I wouldn't think that. He's going to be on the field. They're going to find ways to get him touches anyway. He's just a different type of player. So,
yeah. I mean, maybe snap share, it doesn't look ideal for Devon Achane, but like you said, the role he's used, I'm not super worried about for fantasy.
Yeah.
All right. The Patriots. That one is interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe more interesting than Ramondre Stevenson owners would like to say.
Yeah, I think if they draft one of these guys in the first 2 rounds, they walk onto the field as the best running back on the team.
Yes.
And now Stevenson signed a 4-year extension. I would have to see. So he's got 3 years left on that thing.
Last year.
I'd have to see what the money looks like.
I would assume 2 years because it was last year he signed it. So he's played 1 year on the extension, correct?
Yes, he's played 1 year on the extension. I would assume he has 2 years left on it. And then Gibson signed a 2-year deal last year. So this is his last year. He's a free agent after this. I think this would be a good spot. I would say B. I would say this is a B.
That's kind of where I was thinking is there's not many guys in the draft class. I mean, there's probably 7-8 running backs who are at least better, in my opinion, than Ramondre Stevenson is. And Ramondre's fine, but he's not elite by any stretch of the means. So if a guy goes there, A, they're better than everyone else there, and C, the contract stuff doesn't really worry me with Ramondre either. So.
No, it's not a huge deal. Gibson doesn't worry you. It's a new coaching staff, so they could be open to it. Now, this would obviously be 2nd round because they're not going to take a running back at 104 or whatever they have.
If they want to go crazy and take Genty there, they could.
Take Genty. But I would say this is a B spot. I mean, I would feel good. I'd feel good about this. Like, the guy who goes there isn't going to fall in rookie drafts because of that landing spot.
No, if you get like a Quinshawn Judkins or somebody like that goes to the Patriots, I mean they're looking at what, anywhere from like 105 to 107. That's kind of where you're going to project they go in rookie drafts. Yeah, so that's going to be a good spot. All right, the Jets. Everybody knows who the Jets starter is. Breece Hall. You got Braylon Allen, who looked really good as a rookie. You also Isaiah Davis is there.
I would.
The only
This
thing
is a
I could
D.
say is it's a new coaching staff, but yeah.
This is a D minus, and it's close to an F. Like, just because it is a new coaching staff, but like, even Braylon Allen got run last year. Isaiah Davis showed that he was fine when he got run last year. Like, those guys are rookies. And then Breece Hall is one of the better backs in the league. I can't imagine they're not going to extend him. This would be dangerously close to an F for me. This would not be good. This would not be good.
No, I'm with you. I'm gonna say D for now, but
D minus.
But yeah, I mean the like I said, the only thing you're thinking of is the Jets. The Aaron Glenn just wants to completely clean house, but I don't see that happening. I don't see it.
They just took 2 running backs last year, and the 4th and the 6th. Like, that's 2 running. You can't take one in the 2nd the year after, especially when those guys were fine. It's not like they were terrible; they were fine.
Yeah.
So I mean, this will be really bad.
Breece Hall is extremely
and I know
good.
you might be thinking, like, why are they even talking about these teams? There's no way they're going to draft a running back. Guys, at least one awful situation is going to happen. It's just going to happen. At least one. Like, one of these teams that we would never think takes a running back in the first 2 rounds is going to take one, and we're all going to be pissed. That's why we're talking about all the teams.
There's one guy, because it happens every single year. There is a guy who's going to get ruined.
Every year.
Not like himself
gosh.
in a bad spot. Like, it's going to go like, why is he there? And you're going to be furious. And I don't blame you.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the AFC East done. AFC North. It was a big one. There's some good ones here. The Ravens.
Yeah.
Think about it. I know Derrick Henry's there.
I think this would sneaky be, for year 1, it would be a D. But overall, I think this would be a B. I would feel decent about one of the top guys going there, because Henry's on the last year of his deal. Now, maybe they extend him. I mean, Saquon got extended, but Henry's, 31?
31.
How old is he?
31.
31. I can't imagine they extend him much farther.
And if they took a guy in the top 2 rounds, it's kind of a James Cook situation. If they do that, surely that means it's signaling to everybody Henry's out the door.
Yeah. Maybe if they drafted one of these versatile guys, they could take over what Justice Hill did last year. I mean, I think they like Justice Hill. He was good, on that 3rd down role.
Yeah.
But if they took a Travion Henderson or something in the 2nd round, I would feel really good about that. I think it's a B. Again, for the first year, he's not going to be great, but that means you can get him at a discount in rookie drafts.
Yeah. Like, say, if Derrick Henry wasn't there and they took an Amarian Hampton or somebody like that late round 1, that's an easy A, borderline S. But obviously Derrick Henry is there, so I think, I kind of with you, split the difference and put him at B.
Yeah, and people think, Lamar Jackson just runs so much he never dumps it off. Go look at Justice Hill's stats last year. He dumped it off enough. So,
and Lamar Jackson is kind of the opposite of Josh Allen. Like, obviously Lamar had an unbelievable year this year, but like every single season, there's a running back on the Ravens with double-digit touchdowns with Lamar Jackson there.
Yes. So I actually think this would be okay.
Yeah, no, I like that. All right, this one is probably gonna have if somebody went here, a lot of people are gonna be excited, and a lot of people are gonna be mad. Is the Bengals, because there's a lot of Chase Brown fans out there, but it's also a great landing spot for a true starting running back too. So the Bengals are a disaster right now, but as long as Joe Burrow is there, it's hard to say no.
It's not shaping up to me like they're going to draft a guy. They have Chase Brown and Zach Moss. People, please don't forget about Zach Moss. He's gonna play way more than you want him to this year, I promise. And they bring in Samaje Perine, who always has a role. Now it's a lot of it's special teams, but he always has a role. I don't know if he's just a really good pass blocker or what, but coaches love him. Everywhere he goes, he gets on the field. He was on the field for the Chiefs' biggest play against the Bills last year, and they called a play for him. Like, coaches like this guy. So he's going to have some type of role. Zach Moss is going to play more than we think. I don't think they draft one, but I would say this would be like at the beginning of the offseason, I would have said like A. But I'm going to say it's more like a B minus. I think if they bring in one of these guys, he would be the most talented guy. But the backfield's actually kind of crowded. Yeah, I would say B minus. Right. Like, the backfield's kind of crowded. Like, if Chase Brown plays, he won't play more than 60%. But if he plays like 60% of the snaps, and Zach Moss plays like 20, and Samaje Perine plays like 5 or 10, there's just not that much left over. I mean, if they brought somebody in, obviously Chase Brown would play less and the other guy would play more, but the backfield's more crowded than you would think at this point.
Yep. No, I'm definitely with you there. The last two teams in this division are really juicy landing spots, I think. Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb is a free agent right now, so that means the only running back that's truly under contract that's considered a good running back would be Jerome Ford. I don't like going into 2025 with Jerome Ford as your running back, so they're a strong candidate to draft somebody.
I think this is an S. You're looking at
really?
They draft so early that it's going to be in the second round, obviously. You're talking about an early second round pick. You're talking about the 34th, 35th pick of the draft. Goes into a backfield with only Jerome Ford and Stefanski. Stefanski's been there for a while. Stefanski was there in Nick Chubb's prime. He is not afraid to use a running back.
No,
like,
he's not.
Nick Chubb may not have been getting 90% of the snaps, but he was getting 90% of the touches at running back. Like, now, there was also the time where Kareem Hunt came in, but that wasn't always the case. Chubb was getting all the work at times. I think this would be a great spot. Maybe it's an A. Maybe I'm getting a little high because the offense isn't going to be that great. But I think Stefanski is good. I think if he gets to pick his quarterback and mold him and he can do okay with that, if he can get an okay job at quarterback, if he could turn somebody into the 18th best quarterback in the league, I think this could be an S.
Yeah. I kind of lean A just because of the offensive questions. But still, it's a guy walking into a potential 3-down workload right out of the gate. Assuming it's a second-round guy. If it's in the third, I would still say an A, but obviously we'll see how the running back landscape shapes up. You might not get as talented a guy there. But still, I would say either day 2 or 3, I'm happy with the Browns as landing spot.
Ben, you know, if they took Amari Hampton at whatever it is, 202, 203, whatever they have, and Genty gets a bad spot, you're going to be tempted to take him at 1. This would be a great spot. This would be a great spot for a running back in the second round.
This is great. This is one of those times where, like, if Genty got a bad spot and Hampton goes here, I'm happy to have the 102. I am ecstatic to have I'm trying to trade down from the 101 to the 102. Like, I just want to take whichever one's there.
Yeah, because you're either going to get the great landing spot with a great player, or you're going to get the all-time prospect.
Yeah,
and you don't have to make the decision.
I'm happy with that.
You don't have to make the decision. Yeah.
Steelers. Jaylen Warren. And Kenneth Gainwell did sign there.
Okay. This is dang near an S as well.
This is an A. This is a high A for me.
I would say it's an A. Because Warren is going to have a role. Like, he's a good player. You know, he's not a great player. He's a good player. He's going to have a role. Gainwell's probably a special teams ad. Assuming they bring in some. If they bring in somebody, then Gainwell's a special teams ad. But so for the first year, you're not talking about a 3-down guy. But I think Mike Tomlin wants to have a 3-down back. I think he drafted Najee Harris for that purpose a few years ago, and he just wasn't that good at it. He did it with Le'Veon Bell. Like, Tomlin's from the old school. Tomlin
Yeah.
is from the old school when guys used to be 3-down backs.
He's a member
And
of
I
the
think
old
he's
guard
very
for
open
sure.
to having one. Yes. So if he got a guy, I think he would split touches with Jalen Warren year one, obviously. But as early as next year, because Warren is deep into his rookie deal. This might be his last year on his rookie deal.
This is his last year.
As early as next year, you could be talking about a guy that's getting 75% of the snaps, and those just don't come around anymore. But in this landing spot, it could. Now, I will say, with the caveat, who's the Steelers' offensive coordinator been?
I was going to mention it if you didn't. A, the quarterback situation, and B,
Yeah.
Arthur Smith decided that Bijan Robinson wasn't good enough for him. He's like, I don't need to use
Yeah.
Bijan.
Yeah. And who's still on this roster? Cordero Patterson. So carve him out for about 9 goal line touches a year. But other than that,
And he's going to score on 8 of them.
yeah. And other than that, this is a really, really good landing spot. I'd be super excited, because the Steelers have options at quarterback. The free agents that are available want to go there, and maybe if somebody falls in the draft, obviously they'll take them. So this would be a good spot, really good spot.
I like that. So we're going Steelers A. Steelers and Browns both A+ landing spots.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, AFC South. This is less interesting of a division, I would say, but there's still some not nothing to pay attention to. The Texans only got Joe Mixon. I think he's going into the last guaranteed year of his deal. He's technically got 2 more years, but all running back deals are a year less than what they say on paper. So I think they can get out of Joe Mixon after this year. But it's going to kind of be like a Ravens situation to where he's there for sure this year, and he's going to be the starter barring injury. So I don't know where you view this one.
I would say this is like a B+. This is like a B. It's not an A. Like, you're not thrilled. I would put it similar to the Ravens, I think, where year one, the guy at most is going to get 30% of the snaps at most. But right now, other than Joe Mixon, the only other back on the roster is Dameon Pierce, and we know how this coaching staff feels about Dameon Pierce.
They do not care.
They're not in on Dameon Pierce. They do not care about him. So that is
Didn't
a
he
special
have like a
teams
98-yard touchdown this past year?
I think he did, like at the end of the year or something. Yeah, he had a big one. But Mixon was fantastic this year. But if they draft somebody in the first 2 rounds, they're saying like, we'll run Mixon into the ground this year and then be done and wipe our hands with him. And so it'd be a good landing spot because C.J. Stroud will use running backs out of the backfield.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's only 2 running backs on the roster. They're going to draft running backs. It's just how early.
Yeah.
This would be a good spot. I'd feel good about this.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. It's the one on the roster spot tells you a lot. Like, or two only on the roster tells you like they have to bring somebody in.
Yeah.
Colts still got Jonathan Taylor there. They just signed Khalil Herbert as the backup.
Yeah.
I don't know what Jonathan Taylor's contract looks like. And I should have looked
cut
this
that
up
extension a couple years ago.
So he's close to the end of that. Now, obviously, they could re-up him
They can
sure
extend
because
it.
he's one of the best backs in the league.
This is a D. I mean, I don't think it's an F. It might be an F. Like, imagine Quinshon Judkins gets drafted by the Colts in the 2nd round. You'd be pissed.
Yeah.
You'd be pissed. I'm going to say D-. I'm going to say it's not an F. It's not a total disaster, but this would be really bad if they drafted a guy. Or one of the top guys we like.
They
This
have a
would be bad.
potential out with Jonathan Taylor next year. But obviously, no guarantee they do that. Maybe they extend him further. So, yeah, I Jonathan Taylor is not one of the throwaway guys. He's not like a Joe Mixon entering the last year of his deal. Jonathan Taylor is one of the best backs in the league.
He's about to enter his age 26 season. So you think he's probably got 2 years left after this one of being really good. This will be bad. It's not an F, I don't think, just because, the contract is coming up. Like if he was to get an injury or something and they wanted to move on, but this would not be good. This would not. You would not be happy about this.
No, don't love that one. So yeah, I agree. D for the Colts. Jacksonville. What do we do with this one, man? What do we do here?
It is weird.
Travis Etienne's in the last year of his deal. Tank
I'll
Bigsby is not.
I would. You know what? Something just changed my mind. I think it'd be like a B minus. I think it'd be like a B. It's a crowded backfield, right? There's already ETN and Bigsby. But what just changed my mind? They just brought in a new coach. And he came from the Bucs where there was a split backfield. Yes, that's fair. But he also came from the Bucs where Bucky Irvin became a star last year. Lit the world on fire. So maybe he's a guy that wants to use a split backfield, but he's also might want to bring in his guy. If he drafts a guy in the second round with this roster, he just wants to bring in his guy. So if he drafts one of these guys that high, I feel good about it. I would say it's like a B minus, maybe a B.
I would put
a solid B.
I would agree with you. I would put them in B, but the other teams we've got in the B, Patriots, Ravens, Cincy, Houston, I think I would put all of those teams ahead of them for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, what was holding me back was actually how much Jacksonville seemed to like Tank. Believe it or not, that's what was holding me back. But then I thought, it's a new coach, man. Maybe he doesn't have tie to Tank Bigsby.
New coach has no ties to Tank Bigsby.
And I think if he drafts a guy in the second round, he's telling you this, like, we love this guy. With the holes they need to fill, I think that would say a lot. Again, like a fourth round pick, I don't really care for this team. But if they draft a guy in the top 50 picks, man, I'd feel pretty good. I think it's a solid B.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. The Tennessee Titans, they got Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears under contract. They seem to like those guys. It's a sketchy landing spot, regardless of what happens.
I'll be honest. I feel this one's kind of similar to the Jags, just a little worse. Like there's two guys that they kind of like. There's not a new coach. A C. I would say C. Like if one of these top guys goes there, they're going to walk onto the team as the most talented back. But this is a team that just gave Tony Pollard a real contract last year. And this is a team that likes Tajay Spears. Like I wouldn't feel great about it, but again, you can't feel too bad when you know the running back is walking onto the team as the best one. You can't feel awful about that, which, like, you couldn't say that about the Colts. Like, Jonathan Taylor might be better than a lot of these guys. But the but the Titans, like, Tony Pollard, he's good, but he's not elite. I'll still say C just because it'd be a really crowded backfield.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's the crowded backfield and the fact that it's just the Titans are not a sexy team right now. They are so unbelievably average and boring in most people's eyes.
They're not.
Like if Genty or a Hampton goes there, like I'm gonna have to be excited, but because I have to. Obviously, if Genty goes there, that means he's going first overall, which would be insane. But
Genty can't go there. The only way Genty goes there is if they trade down. That's the only way.
So yeah, no, I don't love it, and I don't think we're gonna see. And I don't think we're gonna see a huge name there anyway.
No.
AFC West has got some very spicy landing spots. This is one you and I kind of talked about a lot of these, before the show, just kind of getting our general ideas. We didn't mention this first team at all. I don't know why. The Broncos. That's an A for me. That's an easy A.
For me, it would be. Yeah, for me, it would be. Definitely an A, possibly an A minus, just because McLaughlin got run last year, Estime got run last year. So I feel like those guys are going to have some sort of role. I mean, he did just draft
But
Estime. When did they draft him? In the 5th round?
yeah,
Those are both
but
5th round picks. If they drafted one of
there's
these
10
guys
running
in the
backs
second
in this.
round,
There's 10 running backs in this
Yeah.
class more talented than everyone they have on the roster.
yeah, and both those guys are on rookie deals in the 5th round. You know what? No, I'm changing my mind as I'm talking. It's a high A. I don't know if it's quite
Yeah.
A plus, but it's
This
a
is an
high
A.
A. This would be really good because the guy's going to walk on the team as the best running back. Sean Payton takes him in the 2nd round, meaning I'm going to use him. Now, Sean Payton, he is not a guy that does 3 down backs. He had prime Alvin Kamara, and he was splitting carries. But
And prime Alvin
that
Kamara
doesn't mean
was
Sean Payton.
the RB1 in fantasy.
yeah, that doesn't mean Sean Payton can't make you an RB1 even if you're splitting carries. So
Yeah.
I would feel really good. This is a solid A. Yeah,
This is a great landing spot.
this is dang near an A
Chiefs?
plus.
What do we do here? I still view them in the same light as the Bills. That's Mahomes' offense.
Look,
You play
yeah.
a small role in it.
Yeah, all things being equal, just looking at the offense and just looking at the running backs they have on the roster, you could be like, "Oh, dude, this is an S." But it's not. They're not going to use whoever they draft. They're not going to use them in this way. Like now, maybe if they took somebody super early, if they took them in the late first round, maybe they will. Honestly, if they took somebody in the 1st round, I'd be excited because that would be like a change of course for them. Like, say what you want about CEH, they gave him every opportunity. They gave him every opportunity to be the man.
He just wasn't good.
If Hampton falls,
If they had taken Jonathan Taylor instead of CEH,
yeah,
and there's going to be some Jonathan Taylor
right.
level players available at that pick.
yes. But if Hampton falls to pick 31 and they take him in the 1st round, I'd be super excited. I'm talking myself into a higher grade on this one too. Like a 3rd round guy for this, to me it doesn't move the needle hardly. He's going to split time with everybody. Everybody's going to get a piece of the pie. But if they were to shift and take a guy in the 1st round, that would change things for me, and I would put it. I'm still going to put it at a B plus though, just because they don't bring in a running back just to use him up and get him to have great stats. That's just not how they do it.
Yeah. I guess I'm having to remind myself is what we talked about at the beginning of this exercise. This is only if they take a guy in the first 2 rounds.
Right.
Which if they're taking a guy,
that changes things.
if they take a guy late second, it's even late second for me would be a little bit different because I feel like there's going to be a lot of running backs off the board at that point. But if it is a guy like Hampton, who I truly do think is a incredible prospect and talent, that has to change things because that's not like they're bringing in 5'9", 200-pound CEH. Like, no, they're bringing in a Jonathan Taylor-esque player.
Yeah, and maybe that would signal like a shift in philosophy of offense. So that really would be something, and that, I mean, you might could even talk me into an A if that happens. But what I will say, if you have a my guy that you really like, and they take him in the late fourth round, I just wouldn't get too excited about it. I mean, I know Pacheco. There was a time he had high value. Like he got to close to a top 12 dynasty RB at one time. But think about what happened to him. He was a 5th rounder or 6th rounder? No, 7th rounder. Where did he go?
I don't even remember.
It was the 6th or 7th. But think about it. The first year, he really didn't do anything. He flashed a little bit at times, but he didn't have any type of legit workload. And now his 2nd year, he got more. And then I think it was in his late 2nd year that it was like, oh, dude, this guy's actually really good. And then early this year. But even that, he was never winning you a league even at that time. Like,
no, he was
best
flex.
Case scenario. Yeah, he was best case scenario that could have happened to him. And it was like he might be RB11, and it was when the RBs were low in Dynasty. So I wouldn't get too excited about a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick, even if you like the guy going to the Chiefs. But if they did take a guy in the first 2 rounds, it would signal a shift in philosophy, and I'd feel really good about him.
Yeah. All right, so we got the Chiefs.
I'll say B though. I'll say B.
The Chiefs at B because I think there's the range of outcomes is too wide. Like
It's
the
just
only
weird.
only situation where they're an A is if they took A Omari and Hampton in the first round. Every other scenario is far less enticing.
Right.
All right. I think we're to our first S with the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it an S. We talked earlier and we were like, it was in one of the episodes we mentioned Genty might go there, and it was like, oh man, the Raiders. But when you look at this, on the roster right now, they have Sincere McCormick, Zamir White, and Chris Collier. Any of those guys lighting the world on fire?
Sincere McCormick is down as the RB1.
Yeah, Sincere McCormick
He
is
is
the
at
RB1.
top of the depth chart. Even for other teams, you've got like you're looking at the Broncos with Jaleel McLaughlin. Like at least he got some run when he was there. You're looking at like Chase Brown with the Bengals. Like he's pretty good. Ramondre Stevenson. Sincere McCormick is not a top. He's not even a top 30 running back.
No, there's 40 running backs better than him. If one of these guys goes there, especially Genty in the first round, or even if they take somebody else in the first round and get another guy in the second round, which I think is probably the better move for them, in all honesty, be excited. Like this, I will say it's a S. It might be like a S minus. It's not like a runaway smash just because the offense isn't phenomenal, but this is really good. Like this is an S tier. Be thrilled if they take a guy in the first 2 rounds. Thrilled.
Yeah,
like
this is one of the
this
top
is the type of
6
landing
running
spot.
backs. This is the 3-down guy.
This is one of the landing spots that should jump a guy up boards. Like if you have him as the RB4, he could jump all the way to the RB2 depending on the rest of the landing spots. This is that type of landing spot, I think.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. You'll have to play a little bit, close to the test with talent profiles and everything. Like I don't know, say Omari and Hampton gets a good landing spot, not great. Let's for the sake of this exercise, let's say Omari and Hampton goes to the Patriots, and a guy like Travion Henderson goes to the Raiders. I think Hampton's a better prospect, and I think Hampton would be the best running back on the Patriots.
Yeah.
But Travion Henderson has no one to challenge him in Vegas. No one.
Yeah, so I guess maybe I shouldn't have said the 102. This can take a guy, if you think Henderson's the RB6, this could be enough to jump him to the RB3. This landing spot.
Yeah.
Assuming not everybody gets great landing spots, this could be enough to jump him there. Like I really like this spot. And again, they have 2 really good tackles. I don't know about their interior offensive line. I know their tackles are really good. Geno's an upgrade. They're gonna add a receiver somehow, some way. This would be. I'd feel good about
Tet
this.
and then a running back in the second round. 2 rookies.
That's what I would do if I was them. Actually,
yeah,
that's what I would do. I would take Tet and then a running back in the second. But who knows? Maybe they just fall in love with Genty. Who knows?
Which I honestly I wouldn't blame him. Like you can't blame him if they take Genty.
Yeah.
And if Genty goes there,
you can't.
Boys buckle up because he is now. I can't in good honesty put him over Bijan or Gibbs, but he is literally neck and neck with them if he goes to the Raiders.
Yeah.
All right, last one in the AFC West. The Chargers, I know they just signed Najee Harris to a 1-year, I think $9.5 million, so not insignificant money, but enough money to where they're going to give him a fairly decent workload. But it also doesn't, Najee Harris doesn't terrify me if they take a guy in the second round or they're late first either.
If they take a guy in the second round, I'm still going to say this is an A.
Yeah.
I think it's an A. Because Najee's he just didn't prove to be a guy that is going to be out there, 80% of the snaps. They're going to, if they draft somebody in the second round, they're going to get run this year, They're going to be the most talented running back on the roster this year. Now, Najee will be the starter, but they'll be the most talented. And then Najee got a true 1-year deal. Like next year, they go into the offseason with whoever they're taking and Kamani Vidal on the roster. Like, this is an A. This is an A.
Yeah. I would say
I can't give it an S
A.
because of the Najee deal.
I would say bottom of A just because I think the Browns, Steelers, and Broncos has a guy who could be walking in right out of the gate into a workhorse role, and Najee is there for the Chargers. But I agree, it's for A for sure.
Yeah, it's A for sure.
All right, switch gears to the NFC. I know you don't want to talk about this team, so we'll do it first. The Dallas Cowboys is an S tier landing spot. It really is.
It's an S. It's an
that
S.
Is a
yeah. It's
that is an easy S. If Ashton Genty's there,
because
it's
I'd be pissed because I can't draft that player because I don't have Cowboys on my team. But yeah, this is an
It's the Landon Davis rule.
Or S. This is an S. Excuse me. Yeah, that's a rule I live by, but that's an S.
Yeah, that's the only other they signed Javonte Williams, and everybody. Some people were like, "Oh, that's good. Javonte Williams can finally eat." Javonte Williams got a 1-year, $3 million deal. That is less than a rookie contract.
$3 million. Yeah,
that is an absolute nothing contract. So, whoever they take, be it first or second round, is the starter in Dallas. Does not matter who it is. Right. They are the starter.
Right.
So yeah, easy S. Moving on. The Giants. They got 4 guys under contract. The number 1 guy is Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, this is it's definitely a solid B, closer to an A than a C. This is pretty good. I would feel good about this. It depends on their quarterback situation a little bit, but
it's not a sexy landing spot.
It's not a sexy landing spot, but I'm not scared of Tyrone Tracy or Devin Singletary.
No, not at all.
If they draft somebody, they're instantly the best running back. I need to see their quarterback situation. If they got a good quarterback situation and I knew Dayball was going to be safe, it might be an A. But I'm going to say
if they
B.
draft a guy, that means it's going to be high second round because they're not going to take him with their first. They're picking at like 5.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Do we put him bottom B. of A or top of B?
I'll say top of B. I'll say I would feel better. I'm trying to think. I'd probably feel better about this than the Ravens. But I feel good about both. It's close. I would say top of B.
Cool. I like that. All right.
Yeah.
The Eagles, I don't think we just need to spend a ton of time here. Saquon just got an extension. The Eagles aren't going to take somebody, and B, they're gonna be an RB2 as long as Saquon Barkley is there.
This might be our first F.
There's going to be 3 Fs, I think, and this is one of them.
Yeah, there might be more Fs for me. Yeah, this would be really bad. You could argue me into a D, but you definitely can't argue me into a C. This is bad. This is like a disaster zone for anybody. I mean, they just brought in A.J. Dillon, which, I mean, I know none of us like A.J. Dillon, but they brought him in for a reason.
And they already got Will Shipley.
And plus Will Shipley. Yeah, Will Shipley.
I could see them taking your running back in like round 5 just to fill a roster spot because they only have 3 under contract.
But if they take a guy in the late first or second round, this is bad. I'll say D minus just because Saquon is older, but no, D. Bad.
I got him.
Bad.
I got him an F. This is not good.
They can be an F. That's fair.
If a guy you like goes to the Eagles, that's not good. You don't like to see that.
That's fair.
This one's interesting. Your Washington Commanders. You got 4 guys under contract, but none of them are difference makers.
No. At the beginning of the offseason, I would have said definite A. I think this is a good spot for running back. I just don't think it's going to happen this year. With the draft capital they've traded away, I just don't think they can use one of those first 2 picks on a running back with the rest of their roster the way it is. So I don't think it'll happen. But if it did, let's just say it did. They take somebody in the second round, it's an A. It's an A. Brian Robinson doesn't scare me. Eckler's going to get used, but because they really like him. But he's in the last year of his deal, and he is strictly catching passes. I mean, he might get – I mean, you're talking about legit 30 to 40 carries all season. Like, that's the type of carries he's going to get. Yeah. So this would be an A for me if it happens, but I think it's a very low percentage chance it happens.
Yeah. Like I said, we're assuming if in this exercise a guy goes first 2 rounds, which, yeah, if there's a second-round pick in Washington, I'm going to be very high on that player. But I also agree y'all have way too many holes, and Brian Robinson Jr. is fine. He is fine. So fine. You don't need to replace him right now.
No.
All right, NFC North. There's an F tier in here, but we're going to start with the Bears. The Bears, if a guy goes there in the first 2 rounds, is an A for me because of Ben Johnson.
Definitely an A because of Ben Johnson, and that would. You made this point months ago, like when it happened. He's moved off DeAndre Swift once.
It would not be the first time.
It wouldn't be crazy for this to turn into an S in short order, but I would say it's an A just because Swift's on a real contract. I mean, he's only maybe got 1 true year left.
This is the last true year of it for sure. But
yeah, but I mean,
if Genty went here if Genty went here at pick 10, this instantly is an S tier.
Yeah, it's an S. But I would say it's an A, but you could argue it's closer to an S than a B. I'll say that.
Yeah, this is top of A tier.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson's former team. We do not need to spend time here.
F.
This is a
F.
Big ol' F. Huge.
This would be terrible
F with the Lions.
It would be terrible for Montgomery. It would be annoying for Gibbs, and it would be awful for whoever they draft. F.
Yeah. They love Montgomery way too much. Like, they are more than happy having him. They're not going to take this. Will not happen.
They like Craig Reynolds too much.
They do.
They like all their guys over there.
They do. This is not going to happen. F. But if it did, it's an F. It's not going to happen though.
No, it won't happen.
Packers. You got Josh Jacobs. Technically, they could have him 3 more years. But the way his money is structured, they can get rid of him, I think, at kind of any time.
I'm gonna say B. It depends on the player, though. Like, if Henderson goes there, I feel good. Like, if a guy who's a good pass catcher goes there, I feel pretty good because you're just looking at can he beat out Marshawn Lloyd, which Lloyd wasn't able to get on the field last year, which I think is possible. And
he was
then again,
hurt a lot, too.
Every year, Jacobs is on borrowed time. Like, every year of this deal can be fake. It can be the last year. He was great last year, so they want to keep him around. He is not a great pass catcher. Like, he did it in Oakland some, but he was never great at it. And then last year, he wasn't asked to do it a ton. He just scored a lot of touchdowns. This would be a B for me. That could be an A if the Packers were to move on from Jacobs in the next year or two. This could easily be an A.
Yeah.
This would be a great spot. But I'm going to say solid B. I'm going to say closer to an A than a C. Probably mid to upper B.
I've got them around where I've got like the Ravens and Houston for me because like Jacobs is going to be there at least 1 more year, which means outside of an injury, you're looking at a year on the bench. But same situation. If there's no Josh Jacobs, it's now awesome. So it's definitely a B.
Yeah. I mean, they took Lloyd in the 3rd last year, right?
That's not yeah. He was the 3rd round, which is not insignificant draft capital. But I don't know if Lloyd's
wasn't able to get on the field.
He was hurt.
Yeah, he wasn't able to get on the field. I liked him actually a lot, but he wasn't able to play. So Jacobs, this is one of those that I could definitely see happening, and the Jacobs owners are just going to be so pissed, and they're should be.
Going to crash out,
guys. One of these situations is going to happen. It's just going to, and so this would not be good. Or this would be good. It would not be good for Jacobs.
No, it would not. I still think Jacobs would have another year as a starter, but Jacobs, he's done after this year. Vikings. Mm-hmm. I know they just re-signed Aaron Jones, but it's basically a 1-year deal. And if
It's an
the
A.
Vikings go get somebody, yeah, that's an A.
It's an A. It's an A. I mean, Aaron Jones he's still really good. Let's just call it what it is. He's really good. He can do everything. He's good between the tackles. He's good at catching passes. He scores touchdowns. He's going to be have a huge part of the backfield. But even last year, he was, 65% of the snaps, maybe.
Yeah.
I would think this year, if they bring somebody in, that's going to drop to 50, 55. And then if they bring in somebody, they're going to move on from Jones after this year. And if they wouldn't have signed Aaron Jones, this is triple S. This is S+. This is as high as it gets if they wouldn't have signed Jones.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna move this down to a B or C just because they signed him, because I think it's probably for 1 year. So this is a high A. I feel really good about this landing spot still, even with Aaron Jones.
I think I was talking to Josh. This was obviously before Aaron Jones signed in, but we were talking about just like some running backs and landing spots and who we thought was good. I said, I know Genty's the best running back in this class, but say Genty goes somewhere like the Raiders or something, which obviously we think is an S-tier landing spot, but like say Genty gets, or maybe it was the Steelers. I'm like, say Genty goes to like the Steelers or something, and then like an Amari Hampton went to the Vikings. I'm like, I think yes, your 101 would have to be that guy. And obviously that situation is not going to happen now, but the starting running back in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell is a highly valuable asset.
This is an A still. This is an A.
Yeah. All right, moving on to NFC South. Our next F, not even going to entertain this. It's the Falcons.
Oh,
easy F.
No, please. F. This will be bad. This will be
bad. Bijan is one of the best running backs
they
in football.
used from the beginning and middle of the year, they used Tyler Algier a lot more than we wanted them to. Now, towards the end of the year, they started giving Bijan more of a load, and he had a fantastic end of the season. He was awesome.
It was 24 game. Like, he was every time, lock it in.
Yeah.
Bijan getting 24.
He was awesome. After they started giving him at least 70% of the snaps, it would be an F. It'd be a triple F for Algier. It would be bad for Bijan, and it'd be awful for whoever goes there. So yeah, this is an F.
Yeah. I do not think it'll happen, but it is an F.
No, it won't.
Yeah. Panthers, maybe more interesting than you would. They just re-signed Chuba Hubbard, and they got Jonathan Brooks waiting in the wings, and they bring in Rico Dowdle.
I would not feel good about this. I mean, all things considered, I would think if they draft someone in the first 2 rounds, it's going to be the best running back in the building. But they love Chuba Hubbard. They just signed Rico. They have Jonathan Brooks, who's not going to be available till late in the year. But
he's probably not going to play this coming season at all.
Yeah, it's not a D. Like, it's not a disaster. But I'll say C. I would not feel good about this.
It's low C to me. Like, and I understand that whoever they brought in would be the best one, but it's such a messy situation. They obviously like Brooks. They traded up to get him. They signed Chuba Hubbard to a long-term deal, and they signed Rico Dowdle. Like, yeah, even if they're the best one, A, the offense isn't going to be that good, and B, in a crowded backfield on a bad offense, I don't like it at all.
No. This would be bleh.
Yeah, I'm going to put it C, but it's low C for me.
Yeah.
Saints. Better than you would think.
This is I'm in between A- and A. I think it's probably A-.
Kamara's got one more deal.
No. This is an A. This is a solid A because of the new coaching
got one
staff.
More.
Kendre Miller was a guy who you either loved him or you hated him, and I think the Saints coaching staff really loved him at first. Then they started hating him, like at the beginning of last year, and then he kind of came on and actually had some moments at the end of last year. But nobody thinks Kamara's got more than one more year in him. And then the new coaching staff, they have no ties to Kendre Miller. Like, they don't care about him.
No.
So I think I think definitely this is an A. This would be, I'd feel good about it. Like if a Quinshon Judkins went here, I would feel good about that. Like this is an A. This is an A landing spot. It's not going to be, they're not going to be a RB2 in year one because Kamara is still going to get a ton of work, but this is a good spot. Especially with the new coaching staff, offensive coach, this is a good spot.
Draft a guy, run Kamara into the ground, and basically restart from scratch because they're having to burn it down and build from the ground up anyway. Yep. All right, Buccaneers. Is this a D?
This is definitely a D, and I can't say it's an F, but this is a D because they love Rachaad White.
Yeah, I can't say it's an F because I love Bucky Irving as much as the next guy. Don't get me wrong, but there are some talented backs in this class that would probably a lot of guys don't want to admit this, but there's a lot of guys more talented than Bucky Irving in this draft class.
Yeah, and they're all more talented than Rachaad.
Easily.
But the thing is, just this coaching staff, they love Rachaad White. Obviously, Bucky was great. They like Sean Tucker. Like, he got some run. Even with the other two healthy in games, Sean Tucker was getting run. I would not like this for a top guy. This is just too crowded of a backfield. I'm going to say D. I can't say F because they would definitely be at least even talent-wise with Bucky and ahead of Rachaad. But there's just too many mouths to feed. I would not feel good about it. I'll say D.
I don't like it. I'm putting it in D because, like I said, it's crowded. They love the guys there. It would be hard because, like, I just think there's 5-6 guys that are more talented than everybody in the class. Not necessarily better. Obviously, Bucky Irving's a very good running back. But pure talent, there are guys with higher upside than he does. I don't think it happens, but if for some chance a guy was taken in the second round, it's not good for him at all to go to the Bucs. All right, We're running a little long, but we still got one more division to go through. The James if you said if they didn't draft before the show, if they didn't draft Trey Benson, the Cardinals would be an outstanding landing spot for a running back.
Great spot. Yeah.
But with Trey Benson and James Conner getting extended, kind of muddles the mixture.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at the details of James Conner contract. It might be 2 real years, but it's probably just one.
I think his is basically like Aaron Jones, where it's one more year, essentially.
Yeah. With Benson there, I like Benson.
I do too.
I wouldn't feel great about it just because of them drafting Benson last year. I feel honestly kind of similar to how it was with the Panthers and Brooks and Brico Dowdle and Chuba on a contract. It's not a D because I think the guy's probably going to be more talented than Benson, but they did spend an early 3rd round pick on him. It's not like they have team investment in him. It's the same coaching staff. I'll say C. I mean, I just – and it's not the Connor part that worries me. It's the Benson part that worries me.
But I do think Trey Benson's
I could see them drafting a guy. I think Trey Benson's good. I think he's good. And so even if they move on from Connor a year from now, you're looking at a year 3 Trey Benson who's talented and a year 2 whatever rookie they bring in next year. Like, I don't know. I don't feel great about it. I would say C.
Yeah, that's where I got him as a C. The Rams.
It's weird.
This is tough, man. They love Kyron. They love him.
You know, you love McVay being there. McVay loves Kyron. I think Kyron gets a ton of run this year. Now, this is the last year of his rookie deal. The Rams have said they're just straight up not paying a running back anymore. Now, will they break that rule because they love Kyron so much? Maybe. Maybe not. But Kyron's going to get a ton of run this year, and then they just took Blake Corum last year. Did they take him in the 3rd?
Yeah, they took him in the 3rd, but Blake Corum is different to me than like Trey Benson because I think Trey Benson is actually a legitimately talented guy. Blake Corum, I think he's good, but that's another one. Like, there's 10 or 12 guys in this class probably better than him.
and then it's listing Ronnie Rivers as their RB2 right now. I'm gonna say C. I feel kind of the same. I mean, if it wasn't for Corum and I'm gonna put him in C, but higher than the Cardinals. I think just because I fear Trey Benson much more than Blake Corum.
If they took a guy to, that signals that if in the first 2 rounds that like, hey, we're gonna run Kyron Williams in the ground this year, let him walk, and this is our guy next year.
And maybe it signals they didn't like what they saw from Corum. So I'm gonna put them either C plus. Because I do feel better about them than I do the Cardinals. Maybe if they took a guy in the second round, maybe I would move to B minus just because it's like they're definitely moving off of Kyron and they don't like Blake. So in that case, maybe it is a lower B.
I was looking at the other teams we've got in C, and I'm like, if the Rams took a guy, like I would like it better than Buffalo, I would like it better than Miami, I would like it better than the Titans and Panthers. Like they're either low B or like the top team in the C tier.
Yeah, I would say low B probably. I just the Rams, they're just unpredictable when it comes to running backs. I just don't know what they're going to do. They've said they're not going to pay a guy, but then they love Kyron. They draft Blake in the 3rd round and don't use him. So it's just a weird. They're just a weird group for me.
Yeah. We'll see what they do, but first 2 rounds, it's too muddy. San Francisco.
Yeah. I think C also. I don't know. McCaffrey's got a contract. You know what? No, I'm going to say B. I'll say B.
Very injury
I'll say
prone.
B. I'll say B because if they draft somebody in the first 2 rounds, Jordan Mason was good when we saw him. Garindo was good when we saw him. Like
that's just
if they draft somebody in the first
Shanahan
2 rounds,
system. You can throw me in that system and I can average 3 yards a carry. Like,
right. So if they draft somebody in the first rounds, I would say B because McCaffrey, he's injury prone for 1, and then he's not going to be there for the next 3 years. Probably the next 2, maybe the next 1. So I would say B for this. McCaffrey's going to get obviously a monster workload. But because of his injury history and the fact that he's aging, and they're trying to clean up the books, like they're trying to rebuild a little bit cap-wise, if they took a guy in the 2nd round, like I would be saying I'd be really happy about it. So I'm going to say a solid B.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's not exciting if I see it, but it's fine. Last one, and then we'll probably, looking at the time-wise, we'll probably save receivers and quarterbacks, I guess, to next time.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
The Seahawks.
What did you ask?
Sorry, I think my internet connection lost for a second. Yeah. The Seattle Seahawks. Still got Kenneth Walker under contract. You still got Zach Charbonnet.
Dang. I'm gonna say F. It's if they hadn't just drafted 2nd-round running backs in back-to-back years a couple years ago, I wouldn't be saying F. I'd be saying probably D.
If it was just Kenneth Walker, I would probably say C. If it was just Walker.
Yeah, no, if it was just Kenneth Walker. If it was just Walker, I might say B.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say D. Just this would not be good. Walker and Charbonnet, they're both good. Like they're not great elite talents, but they're good. Both of them. Like we loved Walker coming out, we loved Charbonnet coming out. So if they drafted another guy in the 2nd round, that'd be so annoying. Gosh, that would be so annoying. If they did it to us again,
it would also
I'll say D.
Borderline malpractice. As many problems as y'all have, you do not need and as many 2nd-round running backs as you have on the team already that are proven to be good running backs. That would almost be malpractice.
Right, and I told you this before. I feel a little bit higher on this backfield going forward than you do, just because I think they want to run the ball. I think they're going to use both these guys a lot. But if they brought in another 2nd-round pick, I'd be so out. I'd be so far away. Oh, this would be terrible. Yeah. I'm gonna say D, but my heart says F. Like this would be bad.
I put them in F. I don't think this happens, but
No,
if it does,
it won't.
If it did, it's full blown panic mode.
But guys, some of these that we gave D's to, they're going to draft a guy in the first, at least one of the low C's or D's. They're going to draft a guy in the second round, and it is going to drive us crazy. And it's going to ruin the value of the running back that's already there, and it's going to ruin the value of this player they draft. And I'm not looking forward to it, but it's going to happen.
F are the guys. I genuinely think it's less than 1%. The guys in F take one. Like you got the Eagles, Lions, Falcons, Seahawks. Those are all safe. No, they're not taking running backs.
Yeah, I would say they're safe. If they draft one, my gosh, some GM somewhere is getting fired.
Jets, Colts, Bucks. I just don't see the Jets doing anything. I wouldn't put it past the Colts, but I just don't see it. The Bucks don't need it. C is where I would be concerned. There's some guys I'd be concerned about in C.
Definitely.
And there's
C, if you're C or above, man.
And there's some veterans that people like that they like. I'm sorry, but there's going to be some veterans ruined in B tier.
Yeah. This is why I said a few weeks ago, if you have one of these guys where we ranked it as a C spot, just because there's kind of an established guy there, if you have one of those guys and you're able to move to a value equivalent receiver or tight end in a tight end premium league or something like that, I'd be trying to make that move right now. And, maybe that team doesn't draft a guy and it's fine, but I'm telling you, Think of the value hit Chase Brown takes if the Bengals draft somebody. I mean, immediately he drops 12 running back spots, 15 running back spots immediately. Yeah. Like
it's gonna, even if he has a good season, he can have a good season.
Yeah, exactly.
And he won't ever recover this level of value that he's at right now. He won't ever recover.
No. So if you're able to do that, like, even a guy like Kyron, like if you can move to a value equivalent receiver right now and you just like the deal you're getting, I would even think about that. Not that they're going to draft somebody, but it scares me.
If I'm moving from Kyron to Rashee Rice, I just feel safer.
Yeah, that type of value hit is just something that is devastating to come back from for your dynasty team. It's tough when you have a guy that loses, 12 spots in a running back, like as far as running backs go, and 40 spots overall in a draft pick. Man, that is tough. It is tough to come back from. And receivers this time of year are just safer. They just are.
Yeah, and I feel like we've seen guys like there are guys who can lose value and crawl back to it. Like we've seen Ramondre Stevenson he's done it, where he lost a ton of value, got the contract, crawled his way back, but he never got back to what he was.
Kenneth Walker did it.
Yeah,
Kenneth Walker did it. Now he's fallen a little bit, but think of where he was like mid-season this year. Like he did that.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but it's hard.
Yeah, it's not likely. I'll say that you are going very much against the grain.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to mention before we close out? It's a longer. We went long on this one. I actually didn't think we would go this long, but
yeah, I should have known we would go this long.
We should have.
And we'll have to do quarterbacks and wide receivers another time, maybe next week.
Trust me, quarterbacks and receivers won't take as long.
No, not like this, because, like I said, those positions. I mean, quarterback's different, but receivers. If you can play receiver, you can play receiver. Like, even super crowded rooms. Like, Jalen McMillan had moments last year where he looked good in a super crowded room. Yeah. Like, if you're a receiver, you can make it work. Running backs is different. Running backs, it does depend on the situation if you're not a first-round pick. If you're a first-round pick, it kind of doesn't matter. But if you're not a first-round, even if you're a second-round pick, situation matters.
Yeah.
Look at Zach Charbonnet.
Look at Cam Akers, guys like that, like second-round picks.
Yep.
Anyway, that's all we got for today. If you enjoyed it, leave us a like, leave us a review, leave us a comment. Just let us know you like the episode. Let us know what kind of content you like doing. This is the kind of content we like making. We love Dynasty. We love the strategy behind it. We love analyzing players. I love analyzing players. I'll just watch highlights all the time, basically. There's usually not a time I don't have a highlight video of somebody going, around my place. Landon and I would spend time in classes. We would watch highlights. Sociology was the best class we ever took. That was the best class we ever took.
It was.
Anyway, that's all we got for y'all. We will see you guys in the next video.